Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. This is Professor Vidya-mitra from Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. Today we are going to talk on the module SWOT analysis from the paper Food Service Management. Dear listeners, SWOT is a strategic decision-making tool for any business organization, including food service establishment. So at first, it becomes necessary to understand what is strategy, process of strategy selection, its various tools, and then we'll study about SWOT. The ancient Greeks were first to use the word strategos, from which the term strategy has been derived. They used this term to designate a chief magistrate or a military commander in chief with main focus on its military aspects. In the first half of 19th century, Karl von Clausewitz mentioned the word tactics and involved its use in armed forces for engagement and for the object of the war. The main objectives of this module are defining strategy, process of strategy selection, various tools and techniques of strategic analysis, SWOT analysis, the factors which affect SWOT, planning for contingency, and features of a good SWOT plan. Let us know the evolution of strategy. The term strategy was inducted into business terminology only during the Second Industrial Revolution, which began in the second half of the 19th century but really took off only in the 20th century. The first industrial revolution, which spanned the mid 1700s to the mid 1800s, failed to induce much in the way of strategic thinking or behavior. The second industrial revolution, which began in the last half of the 19th century in the United States, saw the emergence of strategy as a way to shape market forces and affect the competitive environment. This time had witnessed the founding of many elite business schools in the United States, beginning with the Wharton School in 1881, the Harvard Business School in 1908. It was one of the first to promote the idea that managers should be trained to think strategically rather than just act as functional administrators, although strategy itself was not explicitly invoked until the 1960s. In 1912, Harvard introduced a required second year course in business policy that was designed to integrate the knowledge gained in functional areas like accounting, operations, and finance. The goal was to give students a broader perspective on the strategic problems faced by corporate executives. In the early 1950s, George Albert Smith Jr. and Roland Christensen, two professors of business policy at Harvard, encouraged students to question whether a firm's strategy matched its competitive environment or not. In the 60s, business schools began to focus on matching a company's strengths and weaknesses, its distinctive competence, with the opportunities and threats that is faced in the marketplace. SWOT is believed to be evolved during the 1960s at Stanford Research Institute and discussed at Harvard in a conference in 1963. Organizations continuously face the challenge of exercising choice among alternatives. Choice is an inalienable part of the decision making process. When we make a decision, we have many choices and we have to select the best one. And when we select the best one, that is decision making. So, an organization has to look inwards, outward, sideways before taking a leap into the unknown. You must be acquainted, one who is responsible to take the decision, the managers, they must see the strengths, the inward, the outward, the environment, sideways, all together would tell that how to step further. An organization has to be prepared with contingency strategies for the anonymous possibilities. The process of strategic choosing is essentially a decision making process. As you can see, choosing a strategy can be said as selecting and deciding the best suited strategy from the many possible strategies which can help us in achieving organizational objectives. However, it is not possible to evaluate all the available strategies, but to select a few of them and compare them to make a feasible choice. The main steps can be focusing on strategic alternatives, analyzing the strategic alternatives, evaluating the strategic alternatives, and choosing from among the strategic alternatives the best one. These four steps in the process of strategic choice make up the main strategy function. Let's discuss these four steps one by one. The first one, focusing on strategic alternatives. The aim of focusing on a few strategic alternatives is to narrow down the choice to a manageable number of feasible strategies. This situation frequently poses a dilemma before us or before the decision maker. Considering too many alternatives would make the process unwieldy and unproductive. But if only a few alternatives are considered, the decision maker may ignore others which should have been considered. For resolving this dilemma, focus should be on a reasonable number of alternatives. It is still difficult to tell what that reasonable number would be. Focusing on alternatives could be done by visualizing the future state and working backwards. The second main point is analyzing the strategic alternatives. Once we have narrowed down onto a few feasible alternatives, these alternatives have to be tested on certain factors. Then, what these factors are? We can divide these into two groups, the objective and the subjective factors. The objective factors are based on analytical techniques and are hard facts or data which is available and we can use to facilitate a strategic choice. They could also be termed as rational, normative, or prescriptive factors, whereas subjective factors, on the other hand, are based on one's personal judgment, collective or descriptive factors. The third point is evaluating the strategic alternatives. Every alternative, that is, strategies, is evaluated on the same parameters, that is, objective and subjective, to select a best alternative. The successive alternative steps of analyzing the different alternatives on the basis of selection factors lie at the heart of such an evaluation. There is no set procedure and strategies which we may use, which may suit all the circumstances. What is important is to observe that if we consider only the objective or subjective factors, it does not help in evaluation. So, the evaluation has to be done on both objective and subjective factors. The fourth one is choosing from among these strategic alternatives. Now, we have to select the most desirable, the one with appraisal of various alternatives should lead to a clear assessment of the existing conditions. The final step is therefore of making the strategic choice. One or more strategies have to be chosen for implementation. A blueprint has to be made that will describe the strategies and the conditions under which they would operate. Let us explore various tools and techniques for strategic analysis. The strategic analysis can be done at two levels, the corporate level and the business level. At corporate level, strategic analysis focuses on techniques for analyzing businesses under the same corporate umbrella. This analysis focuses on individual businesses under the corporate umbrella from the perspective of the industry to which each of those businesses belong and on the unique competitive situations they face in their respective industries. Whereas the central theme in business level strategic analysis is competition. The arena for analysis is therefore the markets and industries where the organizations compete. The fourth point is the industry analysis. A structural analysis of industries is to be made so that a firm is in a better position to identify its strengths and weaknesses and also to know where one needs improvement. A model has been proposed consisting of five competitive firms. The first is the threat of new entrants. The second is the rivalry among competitors. The third can be bargaining power of suppliers. The fourth is the bargaining power of buyers. And the fifth is the threat of substitute products. So let us know what is corporate portfolio analysis. This type of analysis is used by multi product and multi business firms for competitive analysis and strategic planning. The main advantage is that it leads to identifying the resources at the macro level for creating competitive advantage. Major corporate portfolio analysis techniques are: the first one is GE9 cell matrix. This technique is based on the pioneering efforts of the General Electric Company, that is GE, USA, and McKinsey and Company, a consultancy firm. The second one is corporate parenting analysis. Campbell, Gould, and Alexander suggested the concept of corporate parenting to consider the role of the corporate headquarters in managing a set of business in a portfolio. A diversified corporation or a multi business company is often viewed as consisting of a corporate headquarters or center with SBUs acting as satellites. The manner in which the center manages and nurtures the individual businesses is termed as corporate parenting. This analysis is very helpful for firms which are managing varied trades in building up possible strategic alternatives and to allot funds to these. The benefits include a more perspective understanding of the businesses, improved technical choices, and enhanced communication. The next one is the experience curve analysis. This concept explains that efficiency increases as learning is gained by workers through repetitive, productive work. Now, if you also try to apply this strategy, you go on repeating a work and you will gain expertise. You cook a recipe today, tomorrow you again cook that, day after or after a week you again cook, and then you repeat and then you repeat, and you come to know that what were the pitfalls, how to manage those, and how to improve it. And finally, you will become an expert. So this is the strategy you have used. The strategy was repeat and learn. You gained experience. So basically, what strategy? Gaining experience. So once we gain experience, we become thorough, and we can use that experience to improve upon the rest of the things. The experience curve is based on the commonly observed phenomenon that unit cost declines as a firm accumulates experience in terms of the cumulative volume of production. The next one is the life cycle analysis. Dear students, life cycle analysis suggests that products, markets, businesses, and industries evolve through sequential stages of introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. The main advantage of the life cycle concept is that it can be used to diagnose a portfolio of products, of markets, businesses, industries, in order to establish the stage at which each of them exists. To elaborate this point, we mean we explore, we gain knowledge right from the beginning, because there are always periods of growth, of development. Any business grows slowly. We go on gaining, and then slowly and slowly and slowly we improve. But we are aware that time never remains the same. There may be a downfall after going on the top. So, to avoid that downfall, if we diversify, if we think of new concepts, we introduce the latest technology, we explore new markets, we can always grow. Let us now discuss SWOT analysis at length. All firms are a part of an industry. Competition, direct or indirect, described as environment, always exist. Thus, the industry and competition are vital considerations in making a strategic choice. The industry provides the context in which an organization operates, while competitors vie for the same set of customers by offering more or less identical products. For these reasons, an organization cannot make a strategic choice without analyzing its respective industry and competition. If we just take any example, if we look at the food chains coming up, and we normally find they're all serving the same food, they are all having almost the similar kind of ambience. So, to exist, the company or the food establishment which is running must know that what others are offering, what competition they are to face, and they have to go one step ahead to meet that competition and to win. The SWOT or TOES, where S stands for strengths, W for weaknesses, O for opportunities, and T for threats. The strengths and weaknesses for an organization exist in the internal environment, whereas the external environment is responsible for opportunities and threats. The internal environment refers to all factors within an organization that impact strengths or cause weaknesses of a strategic nature. The external environment is composed of the elements which are outside the organization and offer opportunities or pose threats. Strength exists in an organization which it can utilize to achieve tactical gains. This can be organizational image, available resources, employees, their experience, knowledge, and capabilities. A strength can be a particular chef. The strength can be a signature dish. The strength can be the ambience. The strength can be the particular dishes which are being made. Whereas weaknesses are the strategic disadvantages which an organization has due to its internal environment: lack of potential, financial constraints, lower confidence, and heavy reliance on a single product line. The external environment contributes to the opportunities available to a business organization. These help in building and reinforcing the market position of any organization. Opportunities can be favorable local or global economic conditions, positive demographic shifts, new technologies, supportive regulations, and availability of customer demands. These are all opportunities which can be made use of. On the other hand, threats, the undesirable circumstances for any organization in its external environment, pose risks to the organization. Some examples can be economic slowdown, unfavorable demographic shifts, entry of new competitors, shift demand, adverse new regulations, hostile political conditions. When the government of a particular country is changing or is not able to control, that is, the hostile political conditions. A systematic approach to understanding the environment is the SWOT analysis, whereas task of managers is to develop strategies which use the organization's strengths to capitalize on external opportunities or counter threats, seek to alleviate the organization's weaknesses. One can seek different organization weaknesses and remove them. A simple application of the SWOT analysis technique involves four main steps. The first one being designing organizational objectives, recognizing strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for an organization. Find answers to four questions. Now, what are these questions? How to maximize strengths, how to minimize weaknesses, how to capitalize on the opportunities, and how to defend ourselves from available threats. There are suggested practices or strategies to answer all these four said questions. For conducting a SWOT analysis, a four-cell matrix is drawn which indicates the matrices titled as strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It should be conducted by a group of managers in a workshop session using the brainstorming technique for generating ideas. An example of what can a SWOT matrix include is being shown to you on the screen. Dear students, strengths can be favorable location, excellent distribution network, quality certification system such as ISO 9000, established R&D center, good management reputation product lines. The weaknesses can be doubtful cash inflow, frail management information system, lack of major USP for the product, and lower employee commitment. The opportunities can be favorable industry trends, low technology options available, possibility of niche target market, availability of reliable business. Then there can be certain threats as well. The threats can be unfavorable political environment, obstacles in licensing new business, uncertain competitors' intentions, lack of sustainable financial partners backing. SWOT analysis has several benefits too, and the major ones can be it's very simple to use. It almost has no cost. It's highly flexible to suit different conditions. A person having a kiosk and a superstar or a star category hotel, anybody can use SWOT analysis. It simplifies various issues for us. It's highly flexible. We can find many possible alternatives. It's also helpful in formulation of strategies for us. However, if SWOT analysis is not done properly, it can lead to many disadvantages, such as It may not portray a true picture of the organization, or the situation may be more severe than symbolized in the analysis. The analysis may turn to be another fruitful experiment without achieving the desired results. There may be misinterpretation of facts, or the facts may be one person's view and may not suit to other, may not be true as well. It's quite possible that there may be misplacement of various factors in different matrices of the analysis. Based on the miscalculation, the organization may or may not initiate action against the highly sensitive issues which otherwise would have required immediate action. This can harm the organization in great deal, and we really need to be aware about such things. The SWOT analysis is heavily dependent on the evaluation of environments for a particular organization, which never ever remains stable. However, this assessment of strengths and weaknesses cannot stand still. It's a continuous process. Strategic capability needs to be assessed, not just for now, but also for the future. As time passes, the current strategy may not hold good. Also, the external business environment is likely to have changed. This in turn will lead to the need of modifying strategies in the light of these changes. In the modern times, if we look at any example, we are adding a new line to our production area. We are introducing particular kind of food, some ethnic food, maybe Lebanese, but may not be in the trend or may be very much in the trend. We need to undertake research before implementing it. That is, once again, SWOT analysis. Do we have the cooks capable to cook the authentic food? Do we get the ingredients? Would there be enough number of clientele? So the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities all have to be assessed in one go. The SWOT is a continuous interplay between formulation, implementation, and assessment, even now and also in future. There is a continuous interplay between formulation, implementation, and assessment of SWOT. What possible external changes might make a current strength into a weakness or vice versa? How can a current strength be used to explore a future opportunity? How can strengths be developed further to be of greater benefit in the future? There can be other issues that needs to be faced, which are where the resource capabilities of the operation are unable to meet those. As the market competition and the business environment change over time, so there will be need to make changes in the core competencies of the organization. A current core competence that gives a food service operation an edge over the competitors may become commonplace amongst competitors in a few years. Few years back, the food service joints started offering Chinese, but now everybody is offering, right from a ready wala down to the seven star. So there is no edge over the competitors. Thus, any organization needs to be continually developing its core competences so as to be better prepared to face the future. Now we'll discuss the factors which affect SWOT. There are six types of factors that affect choice of SWOT. What are those factors? Considerations for governmental policies, perception of critical success factors and distinctive competences, commitment to past strategic actions, strategist decision styles and attitude to risk, internal political considerations, timing and competitor considerations. We'll discuss each one. The first, considerations for governmental policies. Strategic alternatives considered by the companies have to be seen in the context of governmental policies. It is seen that considerations to governmental policies and priorities is one of the most important subjective factors that strategists must take into account while exercising a strategic choice. Perception. The second point is the perception of critical success factors and distinctive competences. What do we mean when we say the perception of critical success factors? There are many success factors, but few are very critical and distinctive. Means without which we cannot obtain success. Those are critical. So, critical success factors and competencies are important issues in environmental and organizational appraisal. While considering several strategic alternatives, strategists could be guided by the distinctive competencies. There can be competency to attract foreign tourists. What are those competencies? You are offering their food as well as food from the different countries. When we go out, we try to explore that is our own food available at that particular place, because we can try a new food for a restricted time. But if we have competent staff to cook authentic food of different regions of the world, that becomes our distinctive competence. So, these distinctive competencies that the organization possesses and the critical success factors will ensure success in the industry. The next point is the commitment to past strategic actions. What strategies we adopted in the past? Strategic actions involve not only the formulation of particular strategies but also commitment in terms of resources and personnel. The next point which affects SWOT choice is the strategist's decision style and attitude to risk. Do we have risk appetite? What is our attitude to take a risk? There may be managers who are very scared to take a risk. But on the contrary, there may be few who are always jumping for a risk. Both are bad. There should be a balance. Balance in attitude to take the risk. Once we survey, we do a research and come to know where to take the risk, what is going to help, only then. The decision style and attitude to risk are contingent upon the requirements of a particular business and the environment in which it operates. In this way, they act as significant subjective factors in strategic choice. Then the internal political considerations also affect. By internal political considerations, I mean the strategist's interrelationship and power structure balance. When strategy formulation is viewed as a political process, strategies are viewed as a coalition interest. The timing and competitor considerations also are important. The time element and competitor considerations is another set of important subjective factors that influence our strategic choice. The planning for contingency cannot be overlooked. Strategic choice is made on the basis of certain conditions, assumptions, and premises. See, we always have certain conditions in front of us that you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So, those conditions we have to keep in mind. But then we have assumptions also. We assume that if we take this strategy, if we adopt this strategy, we'll be successful. When there is a change of conditions, shift in assumptions and the premises do not turn out to be wholly valid, then the strategy chosen becomes partly irrelevant. The strategies would need to be modified. If such changes are drastic, the chosen strategies may have to be shelved. Contingency strategies are formulated in advance to deal with uncertainties that are a natural part of any business. There are a few approaches to help companies develop and implement contingency strategies. The approach to develop model of contingency planning process involves three steps. These three steps are: first of all, identifying the contingent events. We need to identify which events we are going to take up. Then we should establish the trigger points. And lastly, we should develop strategies and tactics. Let's now discuss what are the features of a good SWOT plan. A comprehensive SWOT plan document should contain a clear statement of strategic intent covering the vision, mission, business definition, goals, and objectives of that organization, results of environmental appraisal, major opportunities and threats, as well as critical success factors, results of organizational appraisal, major strengths and weaknesses, and core competences, strategies chosen and the assumptions under which those strategies would be relevant, contingent strategies to be used under different conditions, strategic budget for the purpose of resource allocation for implementing strategies and the schedule for implementation, proposed organizational structure and the major organizational systems for strategy implementation, including the top functionaries and their role and responsibility, functional strategies and the mode of their implementation, and the different measures which can be used to evaluate performance and assess the success of strategy implementation. So, listeners, in the end, to conclude, we'll summarize what is SWOT analysis: the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, inward as well as outward. So, once we analyze the SWOT and we also know which factors are affecting this SWOT, we can plan, modify, and implement different strategies to achieve success for any food service industry, for any establishment. Thank you for your patient listening. I hope you are gaining through these modules. God bless you. Keep learning, keep growing. Stay blessed. Goodbye. Thank you once again.